This is Professor Primo for U.S. History to 1877, History 1483, Chapter 7, The American Revolution. This audio lecture will discuss the Battle of Fort Stanwix, the Battle of Brandywine Creek, and the Battle of Saratoga. From August 10th to the 23rd, 1777, the Battle of Fort Stanwix was fought. At Fort Stanwix, American forces were under siege by a superior-sized British force. Brigadier General Benedict Arnold added to his fame by leading approximately 900 Patriot soldiers to relieve those sieged American forces in Fort Stanwix. He managed this by spreading his forces out, that is, Arnold, spread his forces out across a large expanse of territory, and that fooled the British into thinking there was a much larger army actually approaching them. Well, to avoid being caught between two armies, the British extricated their forces and left, which allowed Arnold just enough time to relieve the American forces in the fort, and everyone withdrew from the area successfully. And this added to Arnold's fame as an angel of the battlefield. About a month later, September 11th, in fact, 1777, the Battle of Brandywine Creek occurred. George Washington was trying to defend the city of Philadelphia, which incidentally the Continental Congress was in session at, and he was trying to keep British General Howe and his forces from approaching the city. At a place called Brandywine Creek, just outside of Philadelphia, Washington's forces got outflanked by the British. This was disastrous, of course, but Washington himself, leading his forces, managed to defend his own army's flanks. Well, not he personally, but he and his forces defended his army's flanks during the retreating process. Now, this was resulting, of course, in a British victory. So the British were able to move into Philadelphia. But, nevertheless, Congress was able to adjourn, collect their belongings, and depart the city. And Washington's forces were not trapped, but continued a flanking maneuver to protect the congressmen until they were gone, and then Washington left the area. Now, this took a series of days to fully be realized. By September 18th of that same month, Congress had evacuated Philadelphia ahead of the British advance and fled to a place called York, Pennsylvania. They remained here until June of 1778, so they held Congress in York. Washington was able to evacuate the area, and the British moved in and took over Philadelphia. Now, at the same time this is occurring, beginning around September 19th, 1777, and extending through October 17th, the Battle of Saratoga occurred. This brought a great deal of fame for a Patriot general, Major General Horatio Gates. British forces under General Johnny Burgoyne, remember his nickname, Gentleman Johnny, they clashed with Continental Army forces under the command of Horatio Gates. During the Battle of Saratoga, Gates had a battle plan to encircle the British forces and get them to yield to him. Now, it just so happens that General Benedict Arnold was also present, and he disagreed with some of Gates' plan. Well, Gates resented this and basically told Arnold, "I don't care what you think, you're insubordinate, I'll have no more of it," and he sends Arnold off to his tent, essentially relinquishing him from any command capability during the operations. Well, as you might expect from the exuberant Benedict Arnold, he wasn't about to be held back. So what he did was he said, well, I can't lead forces myself, not officially, but the general didn't say that I couldn't go out and fight with my forces. So he grabs a musket and proceeds to head out to the battlefield. Well, most everyone sees this, and when Arnold makes an action on the battlefield, more soldiers are inclined to just follow him than wait for orders from another officer. So Arnold never actually disobeys orders. He does not officially go out and try to lead forces against Gates' plan, but he does, by his own presence, draw men to his side and takes part in the battle. Now, ultimately, General Burgoyne is forced to surrender his forces on October 17th following a brief siege process, and this became a huge American victory that boosted Horatio Gates to hero status among the Continental Congress and, in fact, across the colonies. Many people by this time were thinking that George Washington had lost his edge, and as Commander-in-Chief of the Army, was not looking as appealing as somebody like Horatio Gates, who was a rising star at this time. This presented political problems later for Washington, but for now, many people were just happy to rejoice that the Patriot forces had finally gained a major victory. And more to the point, they took a major British army under command of Johnny Burgoyne, took them off the map, and they were no longer an operating or threatening force in the northern part of the colonies. Congratulations! You made it to the end of this audio lecture. I didn't hear any snoring, and that's always a good sign. So check your notes, make sure you filled in any blanks that were on your slide, and if you have any questions, as always, bring them to class, we'll talk about it, and I'll be happy to help answer any questions you have. All right, on to the next slide.